because I feel like in a game mode like Resurgence, you have to be able to go for kills. So it looks like we do have the second game ready to go. They're dropping in. So Katie, Tiff, I'll give it to you guys. Have some fun.
Thank you so much, Dandro. We're jumping right into things. This is going to be a ton of fun, Tiff. And look, we'll see. Now that we have map 1 all wrapped up, that does mean that we could see our first back-to-back if Selly and Shifty can do it again.
Hey, what if they do? You were asking at the beginning, you're like, will we see some back-to-backs? And look, I'm ready to see it, but you can see they're going to land over here just on the outskirts of a buy station, but it will give them plenty of opportunities to get that cash and choose whether they want to hit the buy station kind of towards their eastern or towards that western. So plenty of options, and they're not really contested off rip.
Yeah, and really a lot of placement on your initial drop can be very strategic. You want to be able to get that money quickly, be able to get those loadouts, those comfort guns as fast as possible so that you can find those engagements early on against teams that perhaps aren't as looted up or kitted out as you are. So no surprise for them that this might be one of those comfort spots. They do have that scavenger to try and get that money, but it sounds like they know someone is nearby. Now, Selly and Shifty, if you're just tuning in, are the players on your screen. They won map 1. This is the very beginning of map 2. We'll see if they can go back to back, but I think challengers like Smixy and actually QLC, as this first engagement comes through, some broken armor scrambles away to reassess, but we'll see if any of those other teams can challenge them, because QLC and Clutchbelk were actually tied in 3rd, 4th alongside Tommy's team.
Would be a really good move for them, but they're going to grab that early knock and full onto Oakley, who's playing alongside Danya. And the comms that just came in from Shifty when he eliminated Oakley was, hey, they're running away. So that's a lot of things that we're going to be looking to see. But Tommy comes in, grabs that knock onto Shifty. So now you've got multiple teams in the area. But a team that we haven't checked in with today, Kaylee and Unrational. Kaylee kind of returning to Warzone competitive once Urzik stand dropped. She's been having a lot of fun with it, and it's really refreshing for me to see, because I know when I started watching a lot of Warzone and playing it, well, I watched Kaylee a ton. Not only to learn how to snipe, but just for the movement in general.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? Of course, is able to get a connect there. The precision goes down. Gonna try and cap close into this engagement, but well, you've got to be careful when you're standing out in the middle, out in the open with 51 players on the map. You are putting yourself at risk. There are so many high points on this map that allow you to get a view of the ground, and Kaylee in a bit of a tricky situation. But QLC, we just talked about, tied for 3rd, 4th with about 10.8 points alongside Clutchbelk. Clutch, of course, needing no introduction, and with at least one elimination under QLC's belt, that is a fairly strong start for them. You've got plenty of time left on this map, so if you can pick off some of these easier kills, prep yourself for that end game. It's going to set you up for success.
Success is needed here, and while the early game can be a little bit slower, we saw just how that mid game to end ended so frantically between a lot of the squads. It was like we were at 17th, and next thing you know, we were into the top 5, but with QLC here doing a really good job of anchoring down on the rooftop, providing a lot of fire, allowing Clutchbelk to really separate and get on the ground, trying to pick up the eliminations after she's put that initial damage in. We talked about Kenz and FIFA just momentarily, but Kenz, she has won a Sadie Hawkins event alongside Shifty, who's playing with Selly here. So bringing in FIFA with they've been practicing a lot. They've been running chows together for the 2v2s in order to prep for day 2. They just have to get there first.
They just have to get there. We know how important that seeding is going to be, but also chance to be able to take home some cash in your pocket, right? Every map of this portion of the tournament is worth $1,000 to the team that wins. Zola with some shots down range breaks the armor, but not enough to convert into a down. No other eliminations just yet, but some nice high ground to at least get a lay of the land as we take a look at Sunday in a bit of trouble, able to get herself back up alongside her duo in Destroy, but I'd be curious to know who they're fighting, and well, we're going to see it right now. That's going to be Dongi that we just actually saw as a bounty on the other player's screen, taking out Sunday. We'll see if Destroy is able to stabilize as we swing back over to what's happening. It's Danya.
It is Danya for sure, and there goes Merked by a skirt, keeping an eye out for Booyah in the distance. We do not get the full on that, and Danya will come through, but I was gonna say she's not gonna move off this position. We've got about a minute 44 left before we have to make our move into that circle, which will be a relatively short distance, but the issue is we have to cross the road, and with teams coming in behind them, this is a really good opportunity for them to gatekeep and just try to find a few more eliminations.
That gatekeeping is so important, but it is a double-edged sword at times. If you are holding someone against the storm, that eventually becomes you. As the storm pushes into you, you tend to be at the outer ring of the new circle. You have to be very careful for positioning. As we're seeing right here, we'll try and get the self-revive off. Oakboy is still alive, as that was Booyah with the eliminations, so should be able to get back here fairly quickly as we take a look at what is happening with Tommy and Brittany. Now they are tied in third, fourth. No eliminations to be seen for Brittany as they'll look to pick up that UAV. And we know how important those kills are. Gets the UAV off, takes shots in the process, in a bit of trouble. Can't seem to get away. We'll see if she has better luck on the self-revive than Danya did moments ago.
It does come through, good smoke to follow, but on that UAV, you could see she was surrounded, and it's going to be Clutch Belk who finds her. Jumping on over to Peachy and Believe for the first time on our broadcast here with the $75,000 Sadie Hawkins, and Dandra was hyping this duo up, and I'm excited to see what they can bring to the table here thus far. No eliminations for Peachy just yet in map number 2, but I love this positioning from them, just kind of on the outer side of that edge. Kind of kitted out. I saw at least 3 self-reses, so we are prepared.
And hey, the self-reses, they're going to be incredibly important because during this part of the tournament, there's no gulag tokens, redeploy flares. All of that is banned. You can't use them. So if you have a stack of self-revives, it's really going to help in your survivability, especially into the chaotic later stages of each map. Now we get a connection, at least for a moment. Asta does have to back off, and this is going to be a bit tricky. You have the storm at your back. You do not want to funnel straight into them without cover, so I love the rotation onto higher ground.
I just love every time I get to see Asta in a tournament playing alongside Onkyo, the French-speaking duo. Onkyo is a competitive Warzone player for a MIT, has just won a couple customs alongside Heeds and Gramalak, but bringing in here alongside Asta, this duo is going to fry together. Now, granted, Asta does not have any eliminations thus far, but the chemistry between her and Onkyo is good. You can see how they're kind of stacking up alongside each other, playing off each other well. They have the redeployed drone just in front of them should they need to take that. Granted, they are known here, so if they do go to make that move, could get shot going up.
Yeah, you're going to have to figure out that risk assessment, right? It's so important in getting yourself to the late stages of a map. As we see, Robstar does take down a door, looking for the final kill. I don't believe, actually, no, I think maybe that was a team wipe. I can't quite see under the bounty. But we do now have 40 players left in this lobby as Angelica and Robstar look to find their next. And, well, it seems like Tommy was able to buy Brittany back into the game, but not for long. She will be eliminated, taken out by none other than Booyah. Tommy, though, so good at staying alive in man-down situations. So we'll see if they are able to recover. Tifa now with 1 elimination and still a decent amount of players on the map here to be farmed, Piff, but they're going to have to be a little bit careful about these later stages and the rotations they want to make.
Yeah, and rotations are going to be big for them, especially coming off of map 1 where they held zone for a really long time over on Exhibit, still on the rooftop with that fire sale, but good to know Brittany is back in the lobby. Tommy was able to take down Booyah for a little bit of revenge there, and although no eliminations, we can clearly see that Tommy does have some. They were in 3rd place, like you mentioned, and are looking to make a move onto that. So grabbing some weapons here and trying to hit the move and go on. But Peachy here, inside the drone, trying to spot out the team. She's calling them out for her duo, Believe, and just like that, they're going to set themselves up quite nicely. They've got the bounty. They are being hunted as well, and it's a triple threat. So keeping to the rooftop will be a really good key to success for them.
And thankfully that bounty did just run out, as their bounty will as well. So a little bit of cash, at least for the first part, in their pocket. But now that fire sale Interesting to see how that tends to impact things. You have to always be careful with a fire sale at any point in its duration, because you know there will be people who camp those fire sales to take out anyone trying to get to them. But as that comes to a close, let's take a look at what's happening with Kaylee. No eliminations and on their own. That's going to be very tricky right now. And excuse me, no, still alive with that little nameplate, just no plates to speak of. So duo still alive and well, and no surprise to see these staircase plays. They are so common here on Vondel, in Warzone in general. You have that high ground with roof coverage, and you can take this very strong prone position as someone tries to work their way up the stairs, hopefully allowing you to get those first shots in. But Tifa now into the thick of it. They're able to get one down. That's Dongi on a 5 spree, and that is a team wipe of QLC and Clutchbelk, who are tied for 3rd, 4th with Tommy's team.
We just talk about the different buildings here. We're on phase Kaylee, and she's just vibing, chilling, looking at the stairs. We immediately jump over to Tifa and Dongi, fighting for their lives, probably just a few buildings over. But that nade comes through, takes out a lot of the shields, but good thing she has plenty of them. And immediately Dongi answers back with a full on to Prodigy. So we are just looking for Clocky, who was a prior bounty for, I believe, one of our recent teams we were looking at. So multiple teams in this area and trying to shoot some more players out of the air. Okay, Tifo, you've got the crack, but we just need to get the knock.
Not able to get it, but hey, that player, if you can get them on the revive and rip those plates off, it will put them at a detrimental position. So maybe trying to take a peek down low at where that player landed. And we have to talk about the fog function in Vondel, right? This map is very foggy. It can be different every time. And unfortunately, after a little bit of a tricky situation, we're going to see if Bears can get back up. Huskerrs with the nice smoke into the self-revive save. Very good recovery from them. But that fog, Tiff, can cause a lot of problems for teams.
Look, I can barely see between everyone throwing out smokes. You've got the fog, you've got the rooftops, and all of the different openings and windows throughout every single one of these buildings. I never know where I'm being shot at, and that's half my battle. Situational awareness is what a lot of our teams are working on, especially when it comes to their rotations. In map 1, Soka and T, they didn't really have the easiest rotation. As you can see, when she's running high alert, she's getting a lot of information, but being able to digest that quickly to Soka for them to be able to navigate and kind of lead their way, really tough. But Robstar, Angelica still able to hold on to the remnants of this rooftop while that ring starts to close.
And that was actually Robstar with a down on to Adrian, who's playing with Amelia Rose. Amelia, very, very storied player in Call of Duty, has done so much, especially in the multiplayer scene, S&D in particular, but running into a bit of trouble now as Robstar just finding engagements left and right with Angelica playing that overlook position. Finds one in the hallway, and it's none other than Holly Barlow herself. She will meet her end, as that will be the 3rd kill for Angelica.
Looks like Z Colors still alive, though, so not a full team wipe onto Team Holly, and we're just navigating through the rooftops. But the issue with Robstar and Angelica here is that rotation that we have to make. It is pulling as far away from them as possible.
Not ideal, to be sure, and the high ground is only beneficial for so long. If you're forced in a situation like this to leave that rooftop, as they will be in 24 seconds, you are a sitting duck until you can get onto the ground. Case in point, Robstar immediately gets taken down, and now Angelica, you have no time, you have no room, so how are you going to get out of this situation, especially when all the area in front of you is completely exposed? We'll have to see if they survive. And well, unfortunately, Tommy did not. Full wiped, a similar situation to what we saw them in map 1, where they were eliminated in 9th place. We'll see if Brittany can survive. Swish, on the other hand, 8 eliminations. Fantastic so far. I think both players alive and well. She is with Almond, so they are in an excellent spot to potentially be able to take map 2.
Yo, and this is what Swish needs. Almond finds a knock on to Asta, so they're looking for more. If they can really, now you think 22 eliminations which Shifty and Selly had after map 1. And they're almost halfway there. I'd imagine they are if you count into Almonds as well. They've got the high ground, which granted can be good. Onkyo falls, so that should be the full on to Asta and Onkyo, unless Asta was able to self-res, but it doesn't matter because Swish is just raining punishment from above, biding their time into the top 10.
Get some shots in, but those smokes so vital as they will try and make the crossing. Switch in a bit of trouble. Can you get behind the van? Just barely with a sliver of health, able to plate back up. Almond will do the same thing. A nice transition, although it did get a bit dicey for them. Smokes so very crucial. And now it's going to be Brittany once again trying to stay alive. Does have 2 eliminations. And I do like that double plate usage. Of course, that perk going to be super, super helpful in a situation like this when you've got a plate up. Does get a connection. Broken armor. Not able to turn it into a down. But already their placement so far better than what we saw in map 1.
Into that 1.3x multiplayer. And I mean, honestly, you've got one of the best IGLs in the game kind of helping you navigate this end game right here. Tommy, down and out, but here in spirit and guiding Brittany throughout this. But through the water we go. We've got a shield crack onto one, a knock, but I don't believe she was able to grab those eliminations because as she makes her way out, she's down in 5th place. Back to Almond and Swish. That is going to be the player who was able to eliminate Brittany, and they just keep going.
Hey, it's going to be a better placement for them than map 1, so they'll take that. But of course, as the team wipe on to Believe, courtesy of Almond comes in, it's the $1,000 for map 2, which is really what you want to see. And, well, there's only one player left. A similar situation to what we saw out of Selly and Shifty when they were in a 2v1 to close things out. But it's going to be from the right. Swish takes shots, able to hide just for a moment. Almond trying to figure out where they are, and it was going to be actually Robstar, I believe, was that final player for the wipe, and with 17 kills and that first place multiplier, an excellent map 2 out of Swish and Almond, and $1,000 in their pocket.
I want more smiles. We just won $1,000 and she's got ice in her veins. She's just like, you know what? I don't care. We got 17 eliminations. We were gunning for 20. We almost had it. But the question that says, where were Shifty and Selly that entire game? We saw a little bit of them at the very beginning, but we didn't really follow them towards that mid game.
Just like that.
And it could be that their aggression potentially got the better of them. That is going to be a very high risk, high reward kind of a play style. And both of them, Shifty and Selly, are aggressive players. So I would imagine perhaps they just